there's definitely a need for help on the front five, on both sides of the ball. D-line, they did a good job, but, they're losing guys in secondary. DB got hurt, a walk-on played. So I feel like once Coach Hype gets that depth that he's talking about, and he's doing a really good job with the 24 class, you guys will start to see turnarounds in the program and bring it back to what it used to be back when Peyton Manning was here.
Speaking of Peyton, he was at the game yesterday, obviously, with Dolly.
Yeah.
What was the atmosphere like? I mean, I know you got here kind of right before kickoff because you had some, travel change, but at the same time, being able to get here, see that atmosphere again for this type of game, what was that like?
A lot of people say, Colorado brings the stars out, but I feel like Tennessee brought the stars out this week. And, just being able to see the alumni base that they had, the connections that they got from their point of from their program, my bad, is very good. And, every Tennessee fan base goes from forever. You never know who you're going to meet. And just the connections and the way they can tap into their net worth and network is insane.
That was Jordan Seaton, fresh off his much-anticipated official visit to Tennessee over the weekend. And today, we're going to find out if the Volunteers are now the front runner. Also, Kam Pringle, the number 91 ranked player in America, he's set to announce his decision on Thursday, Thanksgiving. Now, I think it's Tennessee, Georgia, and Colorado there, but we'll get Volquest Insider Matt Ray on to break it all down. Tennessee fans, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We're growing this thing almost to 25K. Help us get there. We need you. Hit subscribe. All right, let's get started and bring on Matt Ray from Volquest. Matt, before we get into Seaton, let's hit on Kam Pringle from Statesboro, Georgia, and he makes his decision in just a few days. What are your Tennessee sources saying as we're just about 3 days out?
Yeah, Josh. So, right now for Kam Pringle, Tennessee has been a constant, right? They've held some momentum at different points in this recruitment. He wasn't able to make it to campus this weekend. I don't think that's something that's the end-all, be-all for Tennessee. When I talked to Kam over the weekend, he didn't feel like he needed to get back to Knoxville for them to be the pick. But Georgia certainly has picked up some momentum in this one, dating back to that November 4th unofficial visit. It's huge for them to get him to campus then. He was able to learn more about their vision for him as a wide receiver. And to me, Colorado has done a really good job of remaining in this one. But here at the time of this recording, it doesn't feel like, and I haven't heard yet that Kam Pringle has told any staff that, he's coming there. He's still keeping this pretty tight inside of his inner circle, and this is one of those more old school style recruitments. I don't think Kam Pringle may know the true final decision until he gets ready to go up there and announce it.
Yeah, I kind of get the sense that right now it's momentum's building back towards Georgia. And I say that because early on it felt like, hey, Kam Pringle, he's going to stay in state, he's going to go to Georgia. But then Colorado got traction at different times. I agree. It seemed like Tennessee was maybe the pick. Texas A&M before the firing of Jimbo Fisher had a foot in the door. But Tennessee, Georgia, kind of the two constants. We'll see what happens there just a few days out. Now, let's talk Jordan Seaton. The five-star offensive tackle from IMG Academy. He was in Knoxville this weekend, but before he left, he did something interesting. He slashed his list of schools down to a top 7. Those teams include Tennessee, Oregon, Ohio State, Alabama, Colorado, Maryland, Florida. So then he gets to Knoxville later in the day on Saturday. How long did he end up being in town, and who all came with him on the official visit?
Yeah, so he ended up getting to Knoxville a little later, about 30 minutes before kickoff, but it was able to take everything in. It was joined by his uncle and his brother and his mom on this visit, so I think that was big for him. He's a family-oriented guy. But yeah, Tennessee was able to keep him in town and run that visit through Sunday evening. So a really big deal for him to be back because it took some work to get him to campus. And as we know, it's been a battle for other programs to get him to campus, even on an official visit to this point. Ohio State obviously would love to get him back up there at some point later on in this cycle. So we'll see where things go from Jordan Seaton on that front.
All right, so this wasn't Jordan's first game in Neyland. He's been there before. He was there earlier this season. But how do you think the product on the field against Georgia impacted his impression of the total visit? Yeah,
I think as you look at Jordan Seaton, he's a guy that kind of looks at everything in its entirety. He was discussing, the depth piece for Tennessee on both sides of the football coming out of the visit. He was well aware that they had to play a walk-on defensive back later in that game against Georgia because of some injuries. Obviously, they were down 2 tackle bodies. So I think he sees an opportunity, to come in and have a chance to, if not start, at least play a lot of meaningful snaps along that Tennessee offensive line if he were to choose the Vols. So I don't think the 38-10 loss is something that really deters him, because I don't think he came into the game expecting Tennessee to beat Georgia.
Right. So Tennessee, they're very strategic about these official visits whenever somebody comes on campus, but especially the number 1 offensive tackle in America. So what was Tennessee's strategy with Seaton? Who were some of the pieces that they had around him, players and coaching wise?
Yeah, so they had Jordan Seaton around Boo Carter to start the visit. Like, as soon as he got there, that was, when he rolled down onto the field, he was immediately connected with Boo Carter. Those two have hit it off pretty well. Mm-hmm. And then for the most part, in terms of coaches, it was all about being around Josh Heupel and Glenn Ellerbe and just continuing to learn more about those guys. The relationship with Glenn Ellerbe has continued to build, and he's starting to feel a little bit more comfortable with him. And one comment that he made was, that the fact that he's not known Josh Heupel as long as he's known some of these other head coaches, but it feels like he's maybe known them a little bit longer than anyone. So, I think for Tennessee, they're getting him back to getting him to campus initially for that South Carolina game has allowed them to lay the groundwork to build towards this official visit and make it where he came in more comfortable and just a little bit more laid back to where you can continue to build that genuine relationship.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a huge task to get Jordan Seaton anywhere because everybody's pulling him in all these different directions, and just to get him on campus for this official visit was a big win. So we don't know exactly when he's going to decide. We think on December 20, the early signing period, but he's alluded to even taking it maybe further than that. So let's just say we're about 5, 6, maybe 8 weeks from a decision. What's your read on things post-visit? How should Tennessee fans feel right now about where they sit for Jordan Seaton?
Yeah, I think Tennessee's continued to put their best foot forward for Jordan Seaton. They've done pretty much all they can do to stay in this race until the end. We'll see if he makes it to campus at Ohio State. It's going to be a little bit harder for them, with him on the road, with them being on the road against Michigan this weekend. He kind of alluded when he checked out of the visit that he may be done and the focus may turn to in-home visits, but we'll see. I still think there's a chance that he ends up in Columbus on an official visit at some point. But I think right now Tennessee's done all they can do, and when you kind of look at the top schools list, I think Tennessee's in the top tier. I don't know how you really handicap it. I think Oregon's in there. I think Ohio State, if they can get him to campus, is real. And then I think, obviously Alabama's been a strong competitor in this one since the spring.
Yeah, I mean, at one point he was on this show back in September and said Alabama was his leader. I don't feel like that anymore. He's kind of rescinded that since and said everybody's on equal footing. But I think you're right. Tennessee's done an excellent job with him. I do think that they're in that top tier, and they just got to keep on recruiting him through signing day. Matt, we'll find out more about Kam Pringle on Thursday. Jordan Seaton a little bit further off. But right now, Tennessee recruiting is a really interesting topic. Thank you for dropping by today on the Inside Scoop.
Yeah, Josh, thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that content, be sure to subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We have a new page dedicated only to recruiting. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now.